All right, welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. NFL Week 13 on tap for us. BTB Analytics back with you, talking about the whole weekend. We got a lot of marquee matchups. It's Thanksgiving week, damn it! So we got a full slate. Games Thursday, Friday. I don't think Saturday, but Sunday and Monday. So it's going to be a fun, jam-packed weekend of football. We got a lot to talk about. Again, matchups, off the numbers, best bets, free model play at the end of this all. So looking forward to everything here. Want to remind you guys, 27 and 20, 57.4% year to date in the NFL. So we are running profitable. Good place to be in. We got a relatively heavy. I want to say heavy, relative for NFL standards. I think we're on 5 games officially this weekend. So some decent volumes, but we're happy to be profitable here when running into Thanksgiving weekend. So let's get into it, boys. We got a lot of good matchups to talk about. Let's start with one of those on Thanksgiving. Green Bay Packers going up against the Detroit Lions here. Market is really hovering around set that 3.5 to 2.5 to 3 in favor of Detroit here. Our model shows a little bit of value on the Packers actually, but I think price is not quite there in this one. I don't see any plus threes, minus 110s available now. But schematically, this is a top 10 versus top 10 offensive matchup here with these two teams. The one thing that's interesting to me, and Detroit's been they've been weird the past few weeks, at least from the eye test and kind of the mental model versus model standpoint. They are really leaning into the run. They're 25th in pass rate over expected here. So they're a run first, run heavy team. But I don't know that Dan Campbell taking over the offensive play calling duties really fix what Maney thought it was going to fix. They just said their center that retired last year is coming out of retirement and is going to be playing for the Vikings. I don't know about this week.
No, no,
Frank
I didn't see
Ragnow.
that.
Yeah, Frank
Wow,
Ragnow
that's
is
big
coming out
news.
of retirement. Right. So there is something they were begging him, I imagine, to come back for a reason that is maybe not as evident to some, but maybe to you. I don't know. But what are your thoughts on this matchup, and how do you reconcile these two teams? And is the right team even favored according to our numbers?
According to our numbers, no. Green Bay should be favored here, and maybe Ragnow is just bored. That's the other option. No, but you're right. Green Bay number fourth overall offense in our database. Detroit number three. So top five offenses on both sides of the ball. But it's to me the same story over and over for Detroit in the last couple of seasons, which is really good offense and a pretty bad defense. And that defense is what kind of makes them a liability. They can score, no doubt, in a lot of these games, but they can't stop their opponents from scoring and kind of dominating time of possession. So to me, it's interesting because when you pull back the curtain, echo rate and success rate, it looks like Detroit should be good, but whatever it is, they just give up these explosives and they're just not defending well. So for me, I think if I was going to bet this game, I'd like to take Green Bay plus 3.5. Like you're saying, I think the market
Yep.
agrees with this here for the most part. I think a lot of those threes are 110s are taken out. If I was going to play it, there's still maybe a little bit of value at plus three if you can get like a 115. But I think at 120,
Yeah.
all your value's gone. But I do think Green Bay is the right side here.
Yeah. Steve, both of these teams are chasing the Bears in the NFC North right now. We'll get there in a minute. We'll get there in a minute. But I think we've talked about this Green Bay team a couple of times in the past several weeks about how their record, or what their, I guess, where they stand right now is really doesn't always jive with the advanced metrics and a lot of stuff and a lot of the data that we track here. So is which one of these teams, in your opinion, has the edge here? And I mean, the market is keeping this at that 2.5 mark and really hasn't moved. The total, for what it's worth, is sitting at 48, 47.5, which really hasn't moved at all throughout the week. So yeah, is this going to be a classic NFC North matchup in your opinion, or how do you think this one unfolds?
Yeah, I mean, this is tough for me because again, this is another we've talked about this for the Packers for, a few weeks now, like which team you're gonna, see show up. And we've seen them do some fluke stuff, and we've been burned by the Packers doing fluke stuff. And then the Lions really haven't I guess I would rather say that the Lions have also been susceptible to that as well. I mean, you look over the last few weeks, you mentioned it, this team just really hasn't been consistent, having losses to the Vikings and the Eagles, and taking a Jameis-led New York Giants team to overtime. Not really what we all thought. I think that was your off the numbers, right? I mean, nobody, myself included, saw that coming. So, I think it's one of the ones that, like, if you get the best version of who's going to show up, who should win. I think, again, the numbers say that should be the Packers. As much as that hurts me to say that as a Bears fan, you're looking at this season and looking at just this season stats here. The Packers are leading in EPA per pass. Looking at Jordan Love and his efficiency, he's had some kind of ups and downs, but overall, he's been a really efficient and good quarterback. And you're wondering if you can keep that going there. Now, and then I think the big thing you guys kind of point out as well is, what is this defense going to look like? I mean, this is a rematch of the week one where a Green Bay looked dominant. And I think it was a 27-13 win over the Lions. I mean, we were talking about potentially Green Bay going to the Super Bowl, and then they got Micah, and like, this is going to be the team to be reckoned with, and no one's going to stop them. And they've since fallen down to earth from there. But that to me is going to be the key here. Can they pick up where they left off in this last matchup against the Lions and really focus on stopping not just the run, but really stopping Jordan Love there? Because, we have seen some recent run defensive issues over the last few weeks, 22nd in run defensive grade and EPA per rush allowed. And so if you can't get that going, then that is the perfect recipe for Jahmyr Gibbs to kind of get going here. And then that really can have the whole Lions offense start to click. So again, I don't really know, if it's a Thanksgiving Day thing. I'm going to be watching a different game, the next day in terms of my NFC North fandom. But if it's a game that I have to have action on, I think I trust the model on this one, even though it's not one on that meets our threshold.
Yeah, makes sense. So one of three matchups on Thanksgiving. So this one is this right in the middle of it all? No, this kicks off the day, baby. So 11 a.m. kickoff local time for us AZ boys here. So should be a good fun way to start the Thanksgiving slate here. So we mentioned at the top, guys, 57% year to date in the NFL, 27-20, 13 weeks almost in the books. Sorry, did you have a comment before I?
Yeah, we're 60%. That 27 is last week. We went 4-0 last week. We're 31-20.
Damn straight we did.
Keeping me honest. God damn it. Yes. Shout out. We are 60%. I stand corrected. Yes. 12 weeks in the books for NFL, almost 13. There is still a ton of NFL football to be played, guys. And on top of that, college basketball just kicked off. It's in the throw of things. We have up on our site now a sweet, slick, incredibly useful new model and tool up on our website, btb-analytics.com. Head over to the website for more information on it. And because it's Thanksgiving, we have something we've never done before. We're going to do it for you guys. We appreciate everyone who's joined us along this ride, whether it be for football, whether it be for March Madness, college basketball last year. We started and rolled this package out at the beginning of the year in hopes that we could really, really open people's eyes on how much value there is in the college basketball market. So we have the tool and model up on our website. BTB Friday is the code you can use right now. It's a Black Friday sale. It's going to be up for a couple of days only. It'll get you 50% off any order. There's lots of options, guys. Weekly packages, monthly packages, season-long packages, and we even have a combined football plus basketball season-long package. If you use that code, you're going to save like $160. Incredible amount of value, no matter the type of bettor you are in football, whatever your unit size is, in basketball as well. A ton of value to have, so wanted to do that for everyone out there. So get to the website while you can. Check it out.
Can I make a quick note? In case you thought we made that up about going 4-0, you can verify all of our picks independently on our Pickett and our Bet Stamp, which is linked in the description below.
Yes, never hiding behind none of that nonsense. We have 100% verifiable and tracked picks as well. So no bullshit, all transparency. You guys know the drill. All right. Thanksgiving in the book. Steve, you teased it, and I want to kick it to you real quick. This will be a Friday night matchup, interestingly. So Chicago Bears taking on the Philadelphia Eagles in this one. Market really hasn't moved, it looks like, from that -7 that it opened at in favor of the Eagles here. Now, I know you we're going to talk your shit, and hey, we were back in the Bears last week, so glad they covered. But for what it's worth, we have used in the past, we know other advanced metrics like DVOA do have some value in the marketplace, some predictive value. Per DVO rankings, per FTN, the Bears are the worst 8-3 team ever, Steve. Ever. They should not be
Yeah.
8-3. Nonetheless, you're not going to apologize for wins, but taking on the Eagles here, what do you got? So we make this number. The model makes this -8, so not showing any value on either side. But this is a good matchup, man. 8-3 teams. How do you expect this game to go?
I mean, first and foremost, do I look unbothered by being the worst 8-3 team of all time?
Yeah, I know.
No, right?
Of course
I mean,
not.
this is the team. Like, it is what it is, right? Now, listen. That being said, yeah, this is definitely one where Chicago is winning in ways that may not be sustainable versus how they've done it so far. But there are definitely some things to like about this team. And again, we talked about this Philly team kind of week in and week out about how they've had their own issues, being consistent and really being slow on offense. Meaning that Eagles Packers game a few weeks ago was a prime example of how ugly things can get for Hurts and co. But one of the things I want to highlight with the Chicago team is their defense here, and specifically their takeaways, right? So I think that's one of the ones that we don't put enough love on when we kind of talk about what these teams are doing. 24 total takeaways, that's most in the NFL. 16 interceptions, also most in the NFL. That's leading that. And then third and fourth fumbles. And so this is like your prototypical Bears team. And I know Ben Johnson gets a lot of love for his offensive, guru magic and whatnot, and rightfully so. But at the end of the day, this is how Chicago teams are built to win, is you let the defense do its thing and you just don't turn the ball over. Don't throw the game away, which brings me to Caleb Williams, right? Again, you could talk about, stats and metrics in terms of points per game and efficiencies and things like that. And yeah, it definitely may not jump off the table what Caleb's doing, but he's doing enough for this team to be in games and for them to win. Is what we saw again against Pittsburgh. You're looking at here only one turnover worthy play in the last month while under pressure, right? He has that overall turnover worthy pace that he's trying to cut down on. And really that's what the offense schematically is doing. And then on top of that, you're putting a lot of emphasis on the run game, not just between DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai, but also letting Caleb scramble and improvise, which is what he's been excelling at in terms of all of this potential weapons he has. That's what's really has been the key here. And so I think when you put all that together, you get this Bears offense that, again, while they're not blowing anybody out in terms of, putting up a bunch of points, they're doing a serviceable job to keep them in games while we're really relying on their defense. And again, we've seen this Philly offense struggle kind of throughout, sporadically throughout the weeks of the season here. And so if you put enough there, that can be enough to keep this a one-score game. Now, again, we make it, 8. This is at +7. I think that 7, we'll see if it gets to 7 hook. That'd be a very, very big telltale sign in terms of, kind of what we're looking at, take away that push probability. But I think this is one where, as a fan, I'm just happy that we're going to be playing in a primetime slot without, being the nation's laughing stock. So.
Yeah, and we talked about it, I think, last week as well. The Caleb Williams effect you alluded to, Steve. Like it continues to lead the league in sack avoidance, and that was something that he struggled with mightily. I think the second or first most sacked quarterback last year, and now he's
taking a step back. That was the same thing that Fields struggled with before him. I mean, it was just an offensive schematic issue with our O-line being terrible and how we were running plays.
Yeah, makes sense. So Seth, kicking it to you then. I mean, again, we're not showing any value on either side here, but kind of stripping down the numbers and how you're approaching or thinking about this game. Is there anywhere where you think the Bears have the path to pull an upset?
No, I think DVOA's got this right. I think that the Bears are a super overrated team, and they've just been able to win in weird ways. But Caleb Williams is definitely, unique in that. And I don't know how sustainable it is, but using Caleb's data here, we have Eagles winning by 8, and that's a pretty big deal. If you can get a 6.5, which don't exist, but if they did, this would be a slam dunk bet. We'd be betting on the Eagles here. I could see why DVOA doesn't like it. Chicago 23rd in offense and 21st against their 21st ranked defense. So to me, there isn't a lot to hang your hat on. This is a median team at best. Williams is playing as the 18th best quarterback in our database. Now, on the other side of the ball, Hurts is not this world beater this year, and it looks like Devontae Smith is going to be out of this game. Hurts is the number 13th quarterback, so he has not played well. That team is going through issues. We saw the collapse, 20 points, 21 points. We were on Dallas in that game. But I don't know. This feels like a defense that is likely to give up success to Philly. But, we would have said that against Dallas. Now, Dallas is a very potent offense. That's the major difference here. I don't think Chicago can get in a rock fight or a shootout here. I trust the model here, 8.5. I'm fading Chicago. Sorry, Steve.
Yeah. All good. They've served us well for the most part.
This is like unheard of. We bet on them twice this season. They've covered twice. I don't think we've ever bet on Chicago with an edge. That's
new times, baby. We're in a new era.
And I don't think we should have covered either one of them, but here we are.
Whoa, okay.
Hey, we don't apologize for wins. Bears
Okay,
don't, neither do we.
All right. We definitely saw CLV last week.
Yeah.
I can't remember the first one.
Yeah, I don't recall either.
Who did they play? Was it plus 3.5?
Yeah,
Not
sure.
It's all good.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. Yeah, we'll see. Friday Night Lights on this. Cool. That's cool that it's a standalone Friday night game. So it should be a fun one there. All right, a couple more matchups to break down, and then as always, guys, stick around. We got some other best bets off the numbers of the week, as well as talking about some free model play at the end of it all here. So let's move on and jump over to an AFC matchup real quick here. Buffalo Bills going against the Pittsburgh Steelers. All signs and symptoms, so to speak, are alluding and pointing to Aaron Rodgers having a good shot to make it and come back from his wrist injury that he has here. So, provided and assuming that is the case here, Seth, I don't know how. I mean, it's his non-throwing hand, right? So that's obviously not as significant as his throwing hand. But given where both of these teams are at, do you think Aaron Rodgers' return will be enough to potentially play a spoiler here?
Yeah, our model really loves this game. It's a play for us if Rodgers starts at plus 3.5, but it does not like Rudolph in this spot. So we're holding off to confirm that. But yeah, if that's the case and we can grab a 3.5, we will be betting Pittsburgh here. Buffalo is a good team, no doubt about it. Number one in our offensive metric. But when you pull back the curtain here, defensively, they're median and their offense is struggling, especially against good defenses. Now, it's hard for me to say good defense and Pittsburgh Steelers in the same sentence because they're more like an average defense, but they have played a lot better as of late, and it looks like they're definitely getting more pressures, which is what it looks like is disrupting Josh Allen. On the offensive side of the ball, success rate for Buffalo, 8th overall and 12th in echo rate. So they're not sustaining drives right now. I think the hook is crucial here. Steelers plus 3.5 if Rodgers starts. We love it.
Yeah, I think the number we make it is 1.5, right? I think minus 1.5 or plus 1.5, right? So yeah, it definitely would be value there at the hook. So
if Rodgers starts, if it does, it does not like Mason Rudolph.
Yeah, I mean, who does? Let's be honest. We didn't like him last week, so we're not gonna like him this week either. But all right, yeah. So Steve, from your vantage point again, with the presumption again that Rodgers is back. Is there anything that you think can or point to on the Bills side of things that could be a potential spoiler for us?
I don't think so, but I really don't know what to make of this Bills team. I mean, on paper, this is a team, and let's start with the offense. I mean, this is a team offensively that, statistically speaking, looking at just this season, is top 10 in every category in terms of EPA per pass, rush, success rate, et cetera. And I to Seth's point, we look at the database, we have these rolling things, and I think, okay, well, maybe there's something we're missing that we're not picking up by just looking at, this season alone. Maybe there's a shift that we missed, right? And no, statistically, they're all still there, but yet this team just cannot seem to consistently put it together. And defensively, it makes a lot of sense, right? Banged up, ravaged on the defensive end. They've been kind of working through that all season long. So I give them a pass there. But, looking at just kind of what they've been doing offensively and what Josh Allen's been putting through, they had 12 points against Houston, and they had one of those touchdowns was a special, I think a kick return or a punt return. And so just 12 points against Houston. They only had a couple of scores against Miami. I think 13 for Miami and 14 against Atlanta, right? Yeah. And I don't think we think of those teams. Houston's a good defense, but I don't think we think of Miami or Atlanta as, elite defenses per se in this league. And so, seeing them sort of repeatedly struggle against inferior teams is pretty concerning here, especially if they can't take advantage of it, which is what we've talked about on this show in weeks past, betting on and against the Steelers. as that being their kind of Achilles heel. And we saw it, in that shootout against when Joe Flacco went to the Bengals, right, and put up like what 40 plus. And so, this is on paper, this is a game where you would have asked me beforehand. I'm like, oh, well, yeah, no, the Bills should absolutely dominate this. But you start to look at these actual numbers, model aside of what the actual product is. And it feels very, very right to be taking the Steelers here. Again, Rodgers starting, being key to that. Despite all their problems here. And then there's just some of these, intangibles as well, right? Talk about the injuries, but then also what's going on in the wide receiver room with Keon Coleman and how embattled he's been. Is he coming back this year? All that kind of stuff here. So, I don't think it's necessarily a sexy pick in my mind, but I think it's it feels like a smart pick. That makes sense. Not a flashy good, but a rooted in good, solid evidence pick. So
yes. All right. No, I like it. So let's hope the terrible towels. Well, let's confirm. I mean, we should have that news probably by tomorrow. I would imagine if Rodgers is going to be confirmed in or out, or maybe Friday at the very, very least. But
I think the market is assuming he's starting.
I agree with that, yeah, because we mentioned at the top, right? Like, there's really no movement on this one. If you look at where market makers open, which is 3.5, and now that's largely where it's at. There's a couple of expensive 3s if you want to be a Buffalo backer, but largely 3.5 still. So, yeah, there's no way if Mason Rudolph is in, that's looking more like a 6.5, 7.5, maybe. I bet.
Sheesh.
Market only moved 1 point last week with that news. So,
well, it was the Bears who was the fakest team ever. So.
Whoa, 8-3, top of the NFC North, sir. Watch your mouth.
All right. Yes.
And they beat them. They did beat them.
Shout out. All right. Sounds good. Bills, Steelers. Yeah, should be a fun one. Like, let's hope Rodgers is in for that one. All right. And I guess let's just stay in the AFC. Why not? Let's jump on over one more good matchup to talk about this week. Potentially good. Another quarterback question mark. CJ Stroud should be in from what I've read and gathered this week, but still technically an unknown. But yes, Texans going up against Colts here. Stroud practicing full as of today, and yeah, all signs are pointing to that he should be back. From where our model number is at right now, we make this number -2.5 in favor of the Colts. Market is, I don't think the market has moved a ton of this one. I actually don't have those notes in front of me, but
no, I don't think so. It's mostly been around 4.5.
Yeah, 4.5. That's circa open at 3.5 technically, but yeah, now is all pretty much 4.5 is the median market here. So my thought on this one, Seth, is is there some regression incoming for the Colts? We talked about a team by all accounts outperforming expectations for the better part of for pretty much most of the season so far. They've already hit their over win total, which I think was at either 7 or 8.5. But I test, at least if nothing else, past couple of weeks have raised some questions, at least for me. So yeah, given where the market is at in this one, and assuming Stroud is back again, do you think the Colts can pull out another win and cover here?
No, I don't. If Stroud is back, our model really likes Houston here. We're on the +4.5 as long as Stroud starts. And it's interesting. This is Indianapolis #2 offense going up against our #1 defense in our database in Houston. And on the other side of the ball, Houston 27th offensively. So definitely down in the dumps, going up against a mediocre median defense in the 12th overall defense in Indianapolis. But like you said, Houston's really good defense here. #1 in echo rate in defense. So, Houston is not allowing drives. But Daniel Jones' overbought signal is flashing to me. Colts are a pass-first team now at 1.6% pass rate over expected, meaning they are passing more than an average team. We've been keeping our eyes on this because they were much more balanced when they were dominating early in the season. And now Daniel Jones is the #7 overall EPA quarterback in the database. In his career, he's 23rd. So to me, this is overbought signal. They're throwing more than they were early in the season, which means they're relying on Daniel Jones, and they are seeing a very different result from Daniel Jones thus far than his average. I think there's some regression for Daniel Jones, and we've seen it in a couple of these games.
Yeah, that's a good little call out there on the trend in their pass rate over expected. I hadn't been keeping close eyes on that, but um, oof,
So
that's fascinating. Yeah, very fascinating. So yeah, we're if presuming again, there's no issues with Stroud, Steve. Yeah, like Seth mentioned, we're back in the Texans here in this one, but are you also buying kind of what's I guess we're both kind of selling to you is that there's some Colts regression incoming.
Yeah, I mean, I think in general I can buy that, without a doubt. I mean, I was definitely one of the ones early in the year who was a Colts hater, like, oh, they have the easiest schedule, they never play anybody, and then they kind of proved me wrong. They actually started to win me over. But now I think we're kind of seeing, especially over the last few weeks, again, in games like against Atlanta and the Chargers, where we're starting to see, well, yeah, I think that actually is kind of true. And then what is Kansas City, right? I mean, that was a game that went down to the wire. I think it was a field goal difference. So it's Kansas City. Are the Colts really overrated or Kansas City really bad? And for me, the jury's kind of out on both of those assumptions there. But I think the biggest difference to me is what Seth kind of highlighted. This Houston defense is elite. And I think that's something that kind of gets swept under the rug because of just, they're in the AFC South and, with all the CJ Stroud talk and whatnot. But they're damn good for all the stats that Seth pointed out. And to me, the difference is in all these games that the Colts have sort of escaped by, these one possession games in the last few weeks, they haven't played a defense like this. And more concerning, the opposing offenses, have also been slightly better than what they faced here. And so
Yeah.
if you get a healthy CJ Stroud, right, and they're kind of just they've been skating by ever so barely against very inferior defenses. If you get a healthy CJ Stroud here, who can make a manageable offense, I think that can absolutely be the difference to tip the scales here. And then, I don't have the numbers on here. This is just me talking as a football fan. Davis Mills didn't look that bad. Again, it's one game sample. He's a backup for weeks, and I'm not saying it's a QB controversy. All I'm saying, though, is that this Houston team is definitely looking like something that can produce a product, especially on the defensive side. So you compound that with potential regression going on with Daniel Jones and its offense, especially the run, especially the pass here. I think that does spell a little bit of trouble, and I think 4.5 is definitely a place where you want to be.
You had Nico Collins on your fantasy team, didn't you?
I haven't played fantasy
because when Davis Mills stepped in for the game or two, whatever it was, like Nico put up buku numbers, like outpaced his season averages type stuff. So
yeah, I haven't played fantasy since we started doing this business, since we started betting on this seriously. I don't have the heart and the patience and the emotional, just I don't the emotional tolerance and the wingspan to do all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, no, there's a ton of. I mean, obviously the DFS stuff is a beast and world in and of its own.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is a conversation for another time, but I've taken a bit of an interest actually since we've been doing this in some of the season long like fantasy DFS best ball type stuff. That's offerings that are out there, and using some sims and models and products that are out there. Like Establish the Run is one of the core well-known companies that provides data for that stuff. So yeah, if you're right though, like it is not a passive thing in most cases, like in traditional fantasy sense. So yeah, I don't play that type of fantasy either.
Now, what I will do though is I do heavily mess with some player props when they're run and pass funnels.
I do heavily fuck with props. Yes. Shout out. All right, sounds good. So we got a lot of good matchups in the books on deck here for NFL Week 13. We'll talk about 4 good ones here. Before we get to our model play of the week, 5-3 on those given out so far since we started. So we'll hope to keep the good times rolling with that. But yeah, again, let's talk about some numbers. 60% officially year to date in the NFL for year to date record. And again, we mentioned it once, but just one more time. NFL Week 13, there's still 4 regular season weeks plus playoffs. There's a ton of football to be had still. And right now, guys, if you head over to our website, btb-analytics.com, we have our newly minted college basketball model and tool up available on the website now. We've done this in spurts the past couple of years, but it is something where we are pricing and can identify edges for every single men's Division I college basketball game. There are quite literally thousands of games to be played still. A lot of hard work went behind the scenes to get this up and working. It is vetted in the very similar ways as our other models that we put out to the public. So we have a ton of confidence and a lot of good things I think are in store for the future iterations and where it's at now. So if you're interested in joining, there's a ton of value to be had, guys. You can package both the rest of football and all the rest of the college basketball season in one of our packages. You can get 50% off if you just use code BTB Friday on our website. A ton of value, guys. So check it out if you are interested. All right, Seth, Steve, off the numbers before we get to for free model play of the week here. So it's been a kind of a slow or / rough go for a couple of us, save for one in the NFL for off the numbers this week, or for this year rather. I'm just kind of middling, man. I'm 5-7 year to date in the NFL here. Just I win one, lose one, win one, lose one. So it's been one of those things where, again, if you're just vibe coding or kind of using some other anecdotal process, maybe numbers based process to pick games. Man, dude, I don't know how these people do it. I'm 5-7. I have faith though. Return the ship around, baby. Only slightly in the red. I am going to the Bengals and the Ravens game this week. I'm banking on Joey B's return. Bengals plus 7.5, minus 115 is where I got it. Largely, I mean, I think our model is actually a kind of complete opposite side of this. I think we make the number -9, so there's value on the Ravens.
I haven't updated with Joey B though. It doesn't have Joey B.
Okay, so that makes me feel a little better on it. So, but I think just there's a large unknown in how his return is going to look, and I'm effectively banking on some chaos, and just the
no
unknown
Higgins,
too.
right?
And just, no Higgins. I think he's concussed as well for the Bengals. So, but I think the return of Joey B could probably offset and outweigh any loss by T.
Agreed.
So, yeah. So I like Bengals plus 7.5. Once that hook showed up, I'm like, I think this is a great spot. So got to pounce. So that's where I'm at. All right. Who wants to go next? I don't see anything for either of you guys on the write up. So
I can go.
All right.
Carolina plus 10.5.
Carolina Panthers plus 10.5.
But can I get a nice intro about how much I'm winning and like how much money I'm up?
Well, you did, but you started speaking, so I was gonna give you.
Because I know I'm lagging out over here, so I was trying to get ahead of it, but I just
shut up.
I figured,
Seth is the lone man in the black so far year to date. 7-4-1 overall. He had a crazy like 7-game win streak. So he's churning. He's good for just over 2.5 total units won year to date. So, all right, there you go, brother. There's your flowers. Okay, killing it. 10.5 Panthers. Who are they playing?
The Rams.
The Rams.
Panthers
the grossest
versus
thing
the
I could
Rams.
do.
Okay.
That defense, though.
I'm fading the public.
Oh, shout out. Okay, love it. Sound strategy. JK, nah. All right, but yeah, Panthers plus 10.5. Let's hope they at least lose. Let's hope they at least lose and don't pull the upset at least, right? Because that would kill our.
We're dead.
You're dead. You think it's dead?
It's deader than dead.
Oh,
R.I.P.
Wow, no faith. All right, shut up. All right, Panthers 10.5.
They're gonna go undefeated, defeated the whole season.
In 4 more weeks after this week, it's possible. Anything could happen, baby.
Saying that there's 18 weeks in the NFL.
I said 4 after this week.
But there's 14, 15, 16, 17, 18.
Yeah, no, they have 5 games left. Yeah. They have Rams, Saints, Bucks.
Because they're bye though.
Seahawks and Bucks.
They already had it.
Anything else you'd like to add?
10.5.
Okay, 10.5. Panthers minus 110. Let's go. All right, Steve, take us home off the numbers. My man, bringing up the caboose still. Unfortunately, he's in the black. He's in the red, rather. I don't know. You're gonna do something to get out of it. You're 3-9 year to date. So where you coming?
I got time. Remember, there are 18 weeks, right?
Okay,
So I got time here.
No buys for us. We're going all season.
Yeah. I'm not gonna get desperate yet. And every week I tell myself when I do the segment, next week I'm gonna lock in. I'm gonna get this. I'm not gonna make a pick like while we're recording, and here I am again procrastinating. So that being said, that's me stalling. I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the Cardinals money line plus 125 ESPN bet is what I'm seeing is the best number. So I'm going to confirm that right now. The logic here is we talked about the Bucks for a few weeks now here about how they really been overachieving in terms of, what they do, how they're getting, their points on explosives and high variance plays, and how Baker has really been swinging upward despite all the injuries with Evans, Godwin, Bucky Irvin, et cetera, et cetera. Baker Mayfield had a shoulder injury. He had to leave the game last week. His status is still TBD, although it says the last thing I saw was him saying, I got to be sure to, quote, be smart before I go back out there. And the Cardinals, I know they're coming off that loss. We're at that game against the Jaguars. But, I think it's just a Bucks team that is falling kind of back to earth of who they are. And so in a coin flip game, give me the slight underdog. From an odds standpoint, I'll take the money line.
Okay. Yeah, I do wonder if there's some sort of injury factor calculated into Mayfield's numbers for this line, because 2.5. Because if 2.5, I mean, it hasn't really moved off that number. And yeah, who's the backup? Bridgewater.
Teddy.
Yeah, Teddy 2 gloves.
So you think the 2.5 assumes Teddy is what you're saying? Yeah.
Yeah, I have some internet issues right now, but what do we make the number? We make it 3. Yeah. It's gotta be Teddy.
Yeah, Teddy 2 gloves. Is he still Teddy 2 gloves? I'm not sure. I didn't catch that last week.
Once Teddy 2 gloves, always Teddy 2 gloves.
Oh man,
that is true.
Yeah, very small sample size, but he did not look good last week when he came in for Mayfield. So yeah, for Steve's sake, I guess let's hope it's Teddy 2 gloves. I don't know. We'll see. All right, off the numbers in the books, marquee matchups in the books. We got a lot of football to be played this weekend. Before we get to it, before we leave you, you know what we got left to do. Free model play, baby. Let's go. All right, gobble gobble, you turduckins. We're going back to the Thanksgiving slate. Okay. Chiefs and the Cowboys. Who are we on? We are rocking. We're riding the Cowboys plus 3.5 versus KC. Seth, take us home, baby. What do we got? What's the number say?
It's their year. That's as simple as that. No, it's exactly what last year or last week. Why we were on this exact same spread. And I think we're actually getting a worse defense, but the Cowboys offense is elite. It's one of the best in the league, and their defense has just made enough plays. And that's what we're looking for them to do here. We're thinking they can get in a shootout with KC. 3.5, that hook is tremendously important for this bet. So 3.5, 115 Cowboys. It's their year. They're winning the Super Bowl.
Yes, sir. All right. Buy low spot. You can probably get some pretty juicy odds on them to win the Super Bowl, if that's your thing.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Not in Alabama.
No. Sure. When you come back, though, it'll still be available. Trust me. All right. Sounds good. A lot of football on tap for the weekend here. Thursday, Thanksgiving, Friday, Sunday, Monday. So fun weekend. Appreciate y'all hanging out and tuning in with us. Before we leave, though, again, check out the slate that we're on. There's the value, baby. So here's the matchups that we're on this week. Official right now, as we speak, there's five plays that are on for the NFL. I mean, we gave you 2 already on this show. We should give you Texans plus 4.5, and then Cowboys plus 3.5. So Steelers, yeah, presuming Rodgers is in, free game, baby, free game. No matter what week you're tuned in to the show. So yeah, should be a good, fun weekend. Excited to keep things rolling. Hitting 60% in the NFL so far year to date. So a lot of games to still be played, but happy to be in the position we're in. A lot of good volume this weekend. So thank you to everyone who either watches us or if there's subscribers watching, thank you as well. We're grateful for every single one of you. And as a reminder, I'll leave you with this. Because we're grateful, one of the things we want to do is give you guys, return some value back to the people, right? So BTB Friday is the promo code you can and should use if you go to our website right now and check out our college football offerings and packages that are up there. If you want to get the most value of it, buy the football plus basketball package. You'll get the rest of the NFL. You get the rest of college, all the conference games, bowl games, etc. A ton of value to still be had. You can save close to $200 on that package. So check it out. It's a lot of basketball to be played, quite literally thousands of games still. So excited for all the value that we're going to continue to hit with that model, with that tool. All right, boys. Appreciate you all. Grateful for you all. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. We'll see you next week.